Hey, it's your boys. Hey, how are you?
This is not working, this pen.
Oh, fuck it. We don't need no tags anyways. Fuck it.
No one's fucking watching.
Yeah, I'm just gonna phone it in. Oh, get this the fuck out
Phone
of
it
the way,
in.
like
You mean dial it in.
Dial it in.
Oh, boy.
It'd be great to just have people who dial in, but you'd always have like people who'd be like, "Good morning, good morning, good morning." Do 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 do. Like that fucking that Bob and Brian one question line promotion that they're doing. It's probably like one of the best promotions I've seen them do because they're like advertising people to buy tickets to go to their spring break thing.
Oh, yeah, their like annual trip.
Yeah, so
where they all get on a cruise ship together and
they
annoy people for...
It's usually at a resort, I think.
I thought they do like a cruise thing.
I don't know, man. I fucking hate cruise ships, dude. It just seems like such a stupid way to go see a fucking vacation. You know, you pay $3,000, you get all the booze and crab rangoons that you can eat.
Just being stuck with those people for...
Like, I would rather fucking work on like a transport liner for a month than be on a cruise ship.
Do some Deadliest Catch style shit.
Oh, fuck that, dude.
That's
Fuck
what a buddy from our
that.
school is doing, basically.
Really?
Yeah, he's deep sea fishing.
What's the first name?
Kevin.
Okay. I don't know. I only know a few Kevins, so I don't know if I know him.
He's in my grade, but yeah. What an exciting life that guy lives. Cooked with Gordon Ramsay in L.A. Had like a sushi place. Try to do a catering business, and now he's deep sea fishing. Just
Interesting.
a lot more exciting than what I got going on, but I'm sure his life's way more hectic.
I would not mind being on a large boat, but a small boat in the fucking ocean, I think that would just give me the creeps. Like, your boy has some legit
You're talking like
thalassophobia.
You're talking about like a barge boat, as in it's hauling basically storage containers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. There's actually a really cool video. It's like 10 minutes long, I think, of somebody taking an elapsed time of like just a very long transit trip.
They have relatively
those.
small crews on those, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And we get
Like it's a big ass ship and it's crewed by like maybe like 20 guys or something. Like it's ridiculously small crews.
It sounds like like the plot of an Alien movie or something, except at sea.
Yeah.
Leviathan 2. Have you heard of that movie?
Leviathan?
Yeah, there's like a bottom of the sea station movie with Michael Stern, who was Marv in Home Alone.
Have not seen it. Have not heard about it.
They find like some booze on a fucking sunken ship and they drink it, but it has a contaminant in it. And he fucking like
Loses his shit.
no, some contagion like grows like parasitically out of his body and then runs amok.
Oh, he gets aliened basically.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. You'd like it.
Cool. Maybe I'll check it out.
Dude, you should check out the Bad Movies subreddit. There's some fucking...
See, that sounds right up my alley. I should
real
probably hit that up.
stinkers.
Because lately I've watched...
I actually saw somebody post an appreciation post to another poster saying, you know what, I just want to take a second to throw you some appreciation for the quality cheese that you bring to this. Like, they're the ones that people always come here and they're like, oh, I have this one. Yeah, but everybody's seen it. You constantly scrape the depths, new lows.
You're cleaning the pot.
Dude, there's some, like, ridiculously bad foreign films that get posted there that are just, like, kind of cool to just, like, track through a little bit, see bit of
what's going on with them. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out because I haven't. I was gonna watch Mandalorian because we just got Disney Plus last night. But I watched the new Bob's Burgers and the new South Park and stuff. But I haven't watched. I haven't sat down and watched a film since maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I watched the riff tracks for Samurai Cop.
I've never actually seen any version of that, whether the original or commentaried.
I have seen enough clips that I feel like I've seen the whole movie, and it really is hilariously bad.
Red Letter Media has actually had the star of that, because that was one of their like claim to fames too.
Is that when he came on and was like, I'm not actually dead?
I don't know.
That okay? Because everyone was like, oh yeah, he's dead. They can't make another one. He's like, oh, we're making another one because I'm not dead. Or they at least put out like a crummy trailer. So. But you watched Mandalorian?
Yeah, Mandalorian was good. I liked it the second time I watched it better, because it's like in a world building mode, but there's like kind of a shocker at the end of it, and you're like, oh, this is where this is going. It's cool because it's setting up this character to just be this kind of ruthless bounty hunter, like dead or alive, you're coming with me, like choice is yours kind of guy. But then it sets it up that he is morally gray, basically.
Yeah,
And
I heard it's very Western feel.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very like gunslinger-esque.
That could be cool. I like Westerns. Is he really a Mandalorian?
I don't know. You don't know it. You don't even see his face.
Okay.
Like we know who the actor is. He's the guy from Narcos,
Okay.
the Colombian partner. He's the actor who plays it. He was also that Dornish guy who just gets his fucking head smashed in by the mountain in Game of Thrones.
I don't know. I haven't watched Narcos and I didn't really get into Game of Thrones, so
It was when Game of Thrones was good.
when it was brutal.
It was like
Brutal, smut filled.
You know who the Mountain is, though.
Yeah,
right?
I know who that is.
So he plays this fucking just like beast of a killer in that, and they have to like do this trial by combat thing.
And the Mountain crushes him.
No, man, he gets like, he's a little guy and he has like this double-edged like blade thing, and he does like all this. He can outrun him, and he's all acrobatic. So he bests him, but he's cocky. So when he's celebrating, the fucking Mountain guy just like, after he's bested him, just like grabs him and fucking smashes his head or cuts his head off. It was a really good death. It was really unexpected and done well.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I was actually surprised. There was some, not gore, but there was some violence in
Mandalorian?
Yeah, like in the first few seconds, there's like a door that's like one of those like almost like aperture doors.
Yeah, it like closes towards the middle.
Yeah, somebody gets caught in that and just gets cut in half.
Oh, yeah. And then 2 pieces. Have you watched What We Do in the Shadows? That like
the show or the
I haven't seen
original...
the movie. I watched the show.
I think there was a short and then a movie and then a show.
Yeah, I watched the show recently.
Was that good? That has the guy from the Toast of London.
Yeah,
right?
it has Mr. Barry in it.
I
love Mr. Barry.
Is Taika Waititi involved with that too?
He's listed in the credits, but I don't know if it's in any real capacity other than you did the movie.
Dude, Taika Waititi is IG-11 in The Mandalorian. He's a fucking bounty hunter robot. The way they did the fucking bounty hunter robot, like you actually get to see how IG-88 would operate, because he's just a prop basically. He has like 2 seconds of camera time in The Empire Strikes Back, but they actually like show like how his robot would operate, and it's like his body, and then his I think it's like his his like midriff, his like chest to his neck to the middle of his face, and then his head to the top are all on different swivels.
I could see that.
So
yeah.
he can basically like, he has like a set of eyes here and a set of eyes here that can like look in different directions.
Yeah, he's got like this
and then
fly
he just
thing
like
going on.
spins and fucking annihilates people. It was actually pretty cool.
Cool. I don't know if he did that in the comics, but they don't really matter. So.
Yeah, I have not watched the second episode, which came out today. They're doing a weekly release after this, but
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, I thought it was supposed to be every week, but they're just doing 2 right off the bat.
Yeah, first week is 2 right off the bat. I was surprised it's only 40-minute episodes.
That's pretty decent length though, versus some of the other shows that they do every 2 weeks and they're only 20.
There's some fucking cameos in there and like upcoming ones too that I know about. In the In this one, there was a stand-up. Do you know who Brian Posehn is? Is like that nerd comic. You'd recognize his face.
Probably.
He's got a cameo in there. Carl Weathers, who is Dylan, you son of a bitch. That guy is in there. Werner Herzog.
So it's pretty stacked.
Yeah. And they're not like major characters. They have some like speaking lines.
They're just
well, they might be,
like
down
hat
the line.
tips, basically.
So far, but it's only one episode.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I like the hat tips.
Tip of the hat.
Yeah.
Wag of the finger. Yes, I'm not like, oh, it's the best thing that's come out of Star Wars, but it's good. I enjoy it.
That's all
It's
you can
better
ask.
than The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's all you can really ask for at this point. It's just like something where you're like, that was okay.
I'm
Okay with that.
thinking about picking up, although I'm stacked on games right now, man. There are so many great Nintendo games that just fucking came out. And I have not been like playing my Switch at all for like a while. But Luigi's Mansion 3 came out, which was just a fucking unexpected gem.
I loved the one that we had on DS. I don't know which one that was, but it was great.
I never knew that I needed a Mario game with realistic object physics and realistic lighting, because it like plays off of like shadows and lights a lot, and the puzzles, a lot of them are kind of like physics based.
I
But,
love puzzle games.
It's just it's like it's a puzzle game first, and the slapstick humor in it is just fucking hilarious. Like there'll be enemies who like you have to use this like flash thing to like expose the ghosts, otherwise you can't suck them up into your vacuum cleaner basically. But some of them have like things they hold in front of their face
To like try and block it.
yeah, which you can suck your thing to, and it doesn't work. And if you wait long enough to just taunt you, they like reach over it and start slapping you back and forth across the face. Like this isn't how you do it, jackass. But yeah, it's like really good. I never really thought I was gonna get that sucked into
A Luigi, Mario offshoot non-platformer.
But I
type
don't know
game.
why I always think that. Like every Mario game is fucking boss, except like some of like the like Sonic and
I think it's
Mario
just
at the Tokyo Olympics 2020.
I think it's
I'll
just
skip that.
the design principles that they put forward in their games are more based in
Also,
the puzzle aspect.
they don't. Nintendo doesn't function like a company like EA does with like shareholders. I'm sure they have investors, but they have so much money banked up, and they operate fairly lean as far as like staffers, that they can afford to
They can afford to have flops, from what I remember.
The figure I heard thrown out was they can afford to take the yearly loss that they had on average when the Wii U came out, which just didn't sell. They could afford to take that kind of loss for like 50 years and be fine.
Which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can afford to take some risks.
Yeah.
A lot of risks, and probably even longer now, being like the Switch was such a smash
Yeah,
hit.
I think overall the last like console releases, I think Nintendo's been probably the most popular.
And like as a PC gamer primarily, that's like the only console I'll even check out, because it has stuff that you can't put a PC in your pocket and just hop on the bus.
Although it would be awesome.
We'll probably get there as soon as bandwidth picks up in this country. That's like really the only thing. Instead of like having the power in your pocket, you'll have something that streams. So once you're able to remote connect to something and the latency is quick enough.
Yeah, and I
you'll
mean
see that.
that can't be that far away. I mean, you have lots of
But the downside to that is you take the power away from the people in that aspect. Once you start moving towards that kind of dynamic, computers stop becoming hardware and start becoming a service. So you have to basically pay for the service for the access to the hardware, and you just have a terminal, which was the case in early days. You would have terminals, and then you'd have a mainframe. And that's one of the things that put Microsoft on the map, is they really kind of like put the power, the actual processing power, at the end user's hands.
Use at
But
the end user's end.
now you see that they're kind of starting to bring it in and centralize it, and then kind of distribute out like that.
Like in the aspect of that, is that the Google Microsoft gaming platform?
Oh, Stadia?
Or whatever, where it's like you basically are playing games off their cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like cool. It'll drive costs down for devices that companies usually sell at a loss, and then, they sell the games, and that's where they make their money.
Yeah.
But
It'll be like cable TV, though, kind of. You'll have to pay
Yeah.
a subscription service.
and case in point, it'll be something like what happened in Venezuela with Adobe's products, just because of okay, let's say you bought an Adobe product 10 years ago, you own that, and you have it on your computer, and nobody can do anything about that. You just have it. But now
Now it's a subscription service.
now it's a
I'm paying
subscription
for it.
service. And you're paying, not only are you paying month to month, and when it's cheaper just to get it initially, but over time you pay more.
Yeah.
But the real kicker is something like what happened recently in Venezuela, is that the U.S. government has basically said that you can't do trade with them. And Adobe basically had to shut their services off to that region.
So stupid.
Yeah, but it's like, that's like the kind of thing you have to think about, is what if the government mandates something where it's like a service that's being streamed, there's the potential for that to just basically be cut off, and you no longer have it.
Yeah, especially with the global climate, and that's probably going to be a more frequent move by governments, I'd say.
Oh yeah, we're getting real serious real quick here.
No, I mean, just like look at like the England leaving the EU type deal.
What kind of fucking shit mess is that in now? Did they delay
political
it again?
the political cartoons coming out of there are just hilarious.
I feel like it's going to be 10 years from now. And
my
they're gonna be
great-great-grandfather was a
"We've asked for
Brexiter."
another extension.
Yeah, my great grandfather argued for an extension. Just like the fucking cartoons.
That's what they're joking about?
Yeah, it's like a sci-fi setting and like two guys in spacesuits like walking to Parliament and arguing about the Brexit thing. Still, I don't know. I haven't had time for political stuff. So
apparently, the new Star Wars EA game is really good. The single player one.
The Jedi one.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. It's supposed to be kind of like a Souls-like game.
Dark Souls or
Yeah.
like Gears of War? I assume, or not Gears of War. I mean, God of War. Is that the one with Kratos?
Yeah, God of War. Like those are kind of the
A
same.
hack and slasher.
Yeah. It's, but I think it's more based on like the harder dynamic than just.
Yeah.
Although I haven't played
That fucking Dynasty Warrior shit where you're killing like 300 guys and you're just like, why aren't we even doing this?
those fucking games were awesome when you were 7. I'm so good. Look at all
I'm
these
killing
people
millions
I'm
of
killing.
people. Yeah.
I can't believe they tried making a Legend of Zelda game based around that. There was a Zelda game.
That one was 4-player, right?
I don't know.
I think I remember seeing some stuff about that.
I did, although I never finished it. I played through almost all of Breath of the Wild, which is just a fucking phenomenal game. Some people call it the best game ever. I'm not that gung ho on it, but
That's good.
It's
Yeah, Britt beat it.
fucking amazing.
It's fun to watch.
Would you guys have it for Wii U?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we must have. 'cause
Wii
that's
U.
the one we
You
have.
look at him. Look at that fucking sucker over there. I actually like the Wii U.
I did too. I enjoyed playing Metroid on it.
The Wii U is exactly what I was making my point of before. There's the central processing unit, and then you have a terminal as a controller. Like all the processing. It's amazing how big that thing is and how small the Switch is, and the Switch has all its processing power on it. Where the Wii U had this fucking huge handheld controller touchscreen thing, and then you had your console processing.
It is definitely crazy to see how quickly technology develops. It just exponentially grows. Like, it's just...
Well, we're at the point where we're coming to the end of Moore's Law, unless we can develop a fundamentally different way of how processors work, because processors are becoming so small. Quantum mechanics are starting to take over, where you have basically, as you get down to the atomic level, you start to have problems with the superposition, the spooky action.
Thanks for putting it in layman's terms.
No, that's actually what it's called. Like when scientists first became aware of quantum mechanics, they called it spooky action, because it's weird. There's that whole principle of something being in a superposition where an atom can be in two positions at once until observed. So once you start getting down to the atomic level, where things are atoms thick, you start having these issues where your bits won't transmit correctly. If I understand, that's like a fucking ape's understanding of quantum mechanics. But I understand roughly why you can't keep getting smaller and smaller. We're almost as small as we can get.
I mean, other things
with traditional processing.
Other things I'm sure will still continue to grow technologically, though. But in that aspect, that makes sense.
I guess that's one of the ways to actually mitigate that is through having a terminal and then having a larger piece of hardware someplace else, because that piece of hardware that's just centralized can just get bigger and bigger. So you can increase the size of your processor and not have it affect the size of your device. So that's one benefit to it.
I'm still, yeah. I mean, it definitely has benefits, but it would be so weird to be paying basically a subscription
to have a computer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
A lot of software models are there, so
that's where a lot of things are going, is to a subscription model. So you don't own it; you just rent it until you die.
Well, that's an even crazier thing that Apple I've been crusading about for a while with Apple, is that they're fighting for you just to not even have the right to repair your actual hardware that you have.
I think it was the Netherlands or Sweden? Some guy's repair shop is going to the Supreme Court there over $2,300 or something.
Of and seizures.
I think it was 3 repaired phones or something. He's like, I'll take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Go fuck yourself. I will repair people's phones in my shop.
Mm-hmm. But in the United States, I know that they've gone as far as seizing people's components to fix phones if they deem it's not a true Apple component.
Yeah, I don't know what the details of the story were beyond that. I just saw that his case was going to Supreme Court for some paltry amount.
It's not the money. Obviously it's the principle, Stefan.
But obviously there's more to that than just... There's more money being thrown around than just that when you go to court.
So, how about an update on the crazy neighbor situation?
Where did I leave off last time?
Well,
we had a private conversation.
Last week on Stefan's crazy neighbor. It started. Stefan had a crazy neighbor move in.
Should I just rehash the whole story?
Yeah.
Okay. About a month ago, my landlord, her neighbor, and like acquaintance. I wouldn't say they're like good friends, but they like talk every once in a while. You know, your neighbors. Propositioned that his brother move into our building because he's looking for a place to go, and she's like, yeah, that should work out fine. So she did the background check through Zumbar, didn't come up with anything, you know, did all the standard operating procedure stuff.
That's kind of surprising.
And
that nothing came up after what you've been through.
Yeah, so we'll get there too. So she was like, yeah, I know he smokes, so he might smell like cigarettes, but I told him not to smoke in the building. But I mean, outside of that, I think that'll be the only issue. Well, he moves in, and like right away, I'm like, I help him like move things because he's disabled. He has like I at the time I assumed it was like diabetes. Like his legs are really swollen, like they're massive, and you know, like he like puts his feet in shoes and they like don't have laces because they're so swollen. So he I like helped him move some stuff into his unit. He like went shopping. I at like Ace Hardware, I hung up like some bird feeders.
At this point in time, when you were interacting with him, did anything kind of seem odd?
No, not at that. Not in the initial time. It was just like, oh, he just needs some help moving some things, and I helped him hang some stuff up.
I mean, this was like a good, you know,
it was like 2 days,
more than a few hours of time.
Yeah.
Interacting with this guy.
Maybe like 15 minutes
at a time.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every once in a while, I'd see boxes that help him move him into his apartment, and then maybe like 3 days in, he opened heavy quotations on this. If you're listening, a store on the back porch, which was like water, CBD stuff, like vitamins, like just random.
Was it on the porch
like
or was
cow
it
pies,
on the alley street?
It was on the back porch.
Okay, so that's not exactly a high traffic zone.
No, it was just like this weird. It was like, okay, that is weird. And I texted.
What are you buying?
Yeah, I texted the landlord.
What are you selling?
I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And he even propositioned my girlfriend. He was like, oh, do you want to work here? And she's like, no, I'm good. So he like had
Real
all this stuff. Like there was all this stuff. Like there's boxes of stuff. It's not like 6 items. It's like he bought
some stuff on
a supply
eBay,
of like
eBay thing or something
of pills or water bottles and stuff like that.
Like my neighbor in Germantown used to just buy like bulk stuff on eBay and then have a garage sale. Just like sell CD jewel cases. Would be like, fuck yeah, we need those. We'll buy you out.
Yeah, something like that. And there's just boxes of the shit on the back porch. I either went to school or work at this time, and then I came back, and like it was raining, and all the shit was still outside, and I'm just like, okay. So I go upstairs. Me and the girlfriend had a brief conversation about just like that's kind of weird, and it doesn't make any sense. So we obviously tell the landlord, and there's nothing illegal about it. Mm-hmm. Because when the police show up, he's just like, well, I'm not really selling anything, you know, it's all free. And he was like posting our address and shit on Facebook, and he's like, I actually got a picture of it from Steve-O where it was like, come all ye thirsty people, and it sounded like a sexual innuendo to me, but when he was questioned about it, he was just like, oh, it was just I'm just selling or promoting giving away CBD stuff or whatever.
Right.
And he was smoking in the building too at this time, and it was a lot of cigarettes. Like it was so much that I was getting like nausea and headaches upstairs. He was he would prop the front door open and leave his door to the main hallway open and the back door.
I think around this time you sent me pictures of one of my favorite things that happened out of this. You sent me a picture. You're like
The doorbells?
Yeah, the guy. There's 4 units in the building, right? And there's 4 buzzers on the front. Nobody really uses them, and we call so not to upset the dog or whatever.
UPS and stuff will.
And the motherfucker, you sent me a picture of those just on the ground, torn off the fucking building. Yeah, he ripped
all of them out.
Ripped them all out and put one of his own wireless ones with a big number 2 on top
like
of it.
I'm talking like address from the street size number 2. Yeah, so that was actually
that was so funny, dude.
Yeah, that was the next incident. Was he went off on the mailman. I like heard an argument in the morning, and then like I worked on some homework, and then I go downstairs, and that's the situation I saw. So I like took some pictures. I was like, we don't have doorbells, and I like sent them to the landlord. Which it turns out like he was getting pissed off because he wasn't getting mail, and he gets like a VA check or something, but he never changed his address, which is something that would come up later. But then the next, like a couple days later, he ripped up the wildflower garden that was specifically designed for like monarchs and bumblebees. He like ripped it up, trampled it, and I like confronted him and asked him about it. And he was like, "Oh, I went for a walk." And I was like, "Well, you fucking asshole, you ruined like something that was collectively all of ours. Like even the downstairs neighbor that is an older gentleman who lives in the building that's in front of
the deaf
that's
guy?
in front of
The deaf guy?
well, yeah, basically.
Hard of hearing.
Yeah. He was even upset about it. And he was just like, "Oh, what? You gonna fucking fight me?" And I was like, "No, you're 400 pounds, and like that's not gonna look good in court. Like you're
Right. That's like, hey, man, remember the Dornish guy versus the mountain?
yeah." But
Cut your head off.
Either way, it's like that's not gonna look good in court in the end because that's the end result of it. Like he just wants to get me in court for something. So I stormed out of there because me and Brittany were trying to go enjoy like a quiet evening because it had been pretty rambunctious at this time. The cops were starting to show up more frequently because he was getting into accidents constantly over this time frame. Like he'd get a car or get his car repaired and he'd be in an accident within 24 hours. So we went out, and then the next day I came home and he was in the hallway smoking with like the doors propped open, his door open. He's like, actually, before that, he was in the morning. He was like storming around the house. He was like calling me and my girlfriend a pussy, and he was asking for the exterior water to be turned on because he liked running the water because he was trying to screw my landlord out of the cold water bill.
What?
Yeah, he was just running exterior water. So
why?
Because she pays for
get
cold
his
water.
supply. I see.
Because she pays for cold water, so he was trying to screw over the landlord. And he was complaining that he didn't have water in his kitchen sink, or the water was off in his kitchen sink, and that he had no power, and he needed somebody to turn his power back on. So he was like storming around the house, yelling at us and stuff. And it was like 5 a.m. Like this guy like doesn't sleep. So the police were called, I believe, because he said he was going to mess with our car. So we called the landlord who was going to come over because I was told relatively quickly not to engage with him. She was just like, "Don't engage with him. You call me, and then I'll do any maintenance that he needs done because usually I do building maintenance." And then,
Really, you do?
yeah,
You get a kickback for that?
yeah. So
Nice.
I shovel there too now at her like number of properties. But so she came over with the police, and they like his power was working. They didn't see anything wrong with the water. He was all pissed off, and it was like 5 a.m. Like I'm barely even awake. Like it was crazy. He was hammering on our door, and so I go outside. He had thrown chocolate in the yard where I take the dog, so I started taking her somewhere else. And then at that time, we ended up moving her to a friend's house, Sean's house.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So Sean watched over the dog for like a weekend while he was there just smoking it up. He was out without a car at this time because he had gotten into another accident. He had gotten his car back and then got into an accident again. And he'd like leave and he'd lock himself out of the house every time or forget his keys inside, so he couldn't even get into his apartment. So he started just leaving everything unlocked. He started leaving like peanut butter out all over the yard on like crackers, which I assumed was to like trying to attract rodents or like raccoons and stuff. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's for the raccoons," because he'd leave the doors open and put like these snacks by the doors, like trying to get wild animals into the building. Or maybe he was putting them out where my dog could get them, and it was just like, "That's gross. You need to pick that shit up." So I like took it and put it into his unit, and I told him he needs to stop smoking inside. We had a couple confrontations. Well, then the next a little bit farther on, I came home from school or work. This was the day that I had confused originally, and there was just shit all over the yard, like stuff from his apartment. Brittany's
I
bike.
thought you meant like shit.
Well, we'll get there. He had thrown like
Okay.
pictures that and like furniture that he had hanging in his apartment outside. He had like purchased some pumpkins that he had smashed, and he had like put like American flags and some of the other ones. Like it was just bizarre. And then he had taken Britt's bike out of the basement and thrown it outside. So I grabbed Britt's bike and I went in there and I was like, who told you could move this bike? And we had like a brief confrontation, and he asked me about, we like talked a little bit. I tried to keep it agreeable because I'm not trying to have an incident at home where I have to call the cops, even though it seemed like it's the only thing that kind of would get him to turn down his antics. But we talked a little bit. I told him that I did defense contract work, and he asked me if I could look at some stuff in his apartment. Said he was in the Navy too, so we talked a little bit about ships and stuff, which got him pretty agreeable. And after that, I didn't really have any run-ins with him. But I went into his kitchen area where his water wasn't working, and there was just a switch on the sink that he had
Turned off. Okay.
So I got that working. He was like, "Oh man, I feel so stupid." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that happens sometimes. You know, people make mistakes." So then he's like, "Well, thanks, man. By the way, I turned off the gas to your unit and your furnace." And I was like, "Okay." So I went down there. I made sure the gas lines were closed because I didn't want to. I didn't want to mess with the furnaces, and he had messed with like 2 of them. So I just made sure the gas lines were off for those 2, and then I turned both the electric furnaces on because I wasn't sure how to restart the pilot lights for the heaters. I know they were automatic on those units. So then I called Barb, and then we contacted the police and was like, "This guy needs to go. Like, he's messing with gas. Like, you can't mess with people's gas. You're not certified. You can't be messing with people's heaters and stuff, and you're not." He basically, if it wasn't locked down or tied up, he was going in the basement and like messing with it, which is something that he said he wouldn't even be able to do. Would be to get into the basement. So he's always snooping around and messing with stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, I put a lock on my fuse box. No one can mess with it." And he started making outlandish claims that like people were going into his apartment and like unplugging things, and that we had cameras and we were watching them, which we do have cameras now, but like at the time we didn't. We got cameras to watch the front and back of our building, especially after we thought he was messing with the car because he had opened the gas tank, but there was nothing in there. So we called the police, and I was just like, this is like dangerous. So the big thing is it's not illegal to be crazy. You can be crazy. It's not against the law to be crazy. So the police kind of had their hands tied. There are specific steps that need to be taken for somebody to be involuntarily taken to mental health. And they came and did a wellness check, and they took him to the VA, but you can sign yourself out being a grown adult from the VA. So he went in, said he had some stuff done, and then went home. And we started getting in contact with his brother, and it's like, "Dude, your brother's insane. Like, he's schizophrenic or bipolar or something. And like, you're just pawning him off on us." Like, he kept denying it. He had no interest in helping with anything. It's like, "I can't do anything." It's like, "You're the only person that can do anything," which apparently may not have been entirely true, but he was completely unhelpful. So it kind of got quiet for like a couple days. He still smoked inside, not as much. And then he got his car back again, and we got a new car. Me and Brittany, we went car shopping, and we got a new car.
Nice.
And this, Kia Niro, very nice. We can talk about that later. But so we went out like for a day with her mom, like car shopping. I mean, we bought it ourselves, but her mom was just like, "We got to get you guys out of the house for a little bit. I'll like maybe pay for like a couple months because I want to get you guys a nice gift for Christmas or whatever else, because you guys are both clearly staying on your heads, whatever else." So we went shopping for vehicles, and we had the camera set up. This motherfucker pulled up like a foot from the front porch. He just drove his car onto the grass like a foot in front of the building. I got it on camera, and I was just like, holy shit. I thought like the speed he came at the building, I thought he was just going to go through the front of the building. And then he was inside for like 10 minutes. Then he just whipped it out into traffic, like full reverse. I was like, holy crap.
Is there any way that you can export this video and we can, watch it?
I have all of them. So, so it was just like, holy shit. Well, guess who got in an accident later that day? Totaled their car.
Brittany.
No. No twist on that one. It's exactly what we thought it would be. Our downstairs tenant. So he got dropped off by the police of all people later that night, and he was farting around. So like it was quiet for a little bit, and then the next day he wanted to have a grill out, and he took my grill. It was kind of raining, and he took it in the garage, and Brittany was kind of freaking out. She was like, he's gonna like burn this place down or whatever else. And I was like, he's probably just trying to get out of the rain. We'll just keep an eye on it because we can see it with the rear camera we have. And I was fucking off doing homework, playing video games or something, and she was just intently watching this, and she ended up calling in a tip that there was something bad going on, and she went down there and she snatched the grill when he went inside, and she was like, it smelled really bad of lighter fluid, and we stashed it. She stashed it at a secret location, but I have her on camera with the grill like running across the back alley. It's really funny. Yeah,
is it
it's as big as her? Yeah,
yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
As big as her. Yeah, and she's just like scooting across, and I like watched it on camera, and we have it saved somewhere. So she takes it over there, and the next day, and they call the police. They come investigate. He got pissed because obviously he was trying to cook out, and he had already had a really bad day. I think it was the same day he got in the car accident. So he was just having an awful day. He was trying to cook out, grill disappears, got into a car accident, and he like freaked out. He like broke 2 windows downstairs in his unit. And the next day we come home. The police are there, Barb's there, and we're like checking all the damages on the building because he smashed like a bunch of windows. He's like, oh, I tripped and fell. Because every time somebody shows up, he goes, oh, XYZ happened, yada, yada. We sit down with his brother again. We're like, you need to get this guy out of here. And I went and looked at the grill. He must have poured 3 or 4 like full containers of flammable.
Why is it just all sitting in there?
There was so much sitting in there that the catch container was this full. He must have poured at least 1 or 2 full containers in there. The coals were so full of lighter fluid, they crumbled. They were like soggy. Like there was so much lighter fluid in there. If he had lit it up, it would have exploded. So we ended up contacting the police, and one of the officers like, well, there's not even a point in writing him a ticket because he has so many and he can't even pay all of them. It's like, I don't give a shit. Write him a goddamn ticket. I want him out of here. We talked to his brother. His brother was just like, oh, he's better, though. And maybe if you guys weren't going to his apartment, it's like, are you delusional? Like, yeah, his brother's a complete mongoloid. I got real mad at him.
Ooh.
I got real pissed at him because he didn't care about anything. I was like, you are such a piece of shit. You fucking pawning off your family problems on random people. Like, I don't even fucking know you, and you're making this our responsibility. So, got pissed at him, and he just did nothing. He'd literally pick him up and sign him out of the police station and drop him back off at our building. He'd pick him up if he got into an accident and bring him back to our building. He'd go take him to pick up his car. I was like, you're a fucking coward. Like, you're afraid of this guy. Like, you just do whatever he wants. It's fucking pathetic. And, it was quiet for maybe 2 days after that. Like there was this big explosive thing, and then he gave the keys to the building to like a street person. So there was like this. Yeah, there's this random guy coming in and out of the building every once in a while. I mean, he wasn't doing anything that I know of that was weird, but he was hanging out with Jeffrey, and I guess they got into an incident at Metromart and some other stuff because we were getting calls all the time where it's just like. The cops are always at the building. The neighbors are starting to be like, what the fuck is going on here? And then we'd get information about shit going all around.
Your neighbor moved out because of this guy?
This was before. She only moved out like maybe a week ago completely. But she was already not staying at the building because he'd always corner her in the hallway and be like, blah, 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 blah. And she's just like, I don't want to deal with this. So she ended up moving out. She'd been out of the building for almost the entire month, though, that he'd been there staying at her sister's. And where was I? Yeah, he was getting all these incidents around town, and it had been kind of quiet, and kind of lost where I was at. We had the incident with the grill.
You had the explosive incident.
The street person was showing up at the house. And then, oh man, it's just everything's been so crazy. Like, it's hard to keep it all straight. So yeah, the street person was coming there.
What's the next major event?
There was more crap that he threw out. There was another wellness check, and I think the only other big thing out of that was he was arrested by Milwaukee County. There was 6 officers that came at like 1 a.m. I didn't even hear them. I saw them come in on the camera. They arrested him. It was completely silent. And
they arrested him for what?
Just he has a plethora of charges against him. I believe
that just accrued previous. Even
it just not even related to the building, just around the surrounding area.
So okay.
So they came and arrested him. I believe what happened was they turned his case over to the DA.
Was this before he had moved in, or is it just because of all during? Because I was I didn't want to spoil the story because you started at the beginning of this that the guy had a background checked and came up clean.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
That service must have wiped it off or something else, because we found out from the police that he has a felony.
Okay.
Like that, my landlord was so upset about the service and then her neighbor and all this because it's costed her a tenant, obviously, and
it's costed her too.
And there's almost $3,000 of damage to the building.
It cost the girl who left, and she also has to find somebody to replace this guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's beyond furious. So, there had been eviction paperwork filed like almost immediately too, though, because right away our landlord was like, "There's a problem here. This isn't going to work." So he ended up getting arrested, and he was downtown for like 3 days. His bail was like $1,000 some, and we'd check it every once in a while. There'd just be more charges levied against him. I think it was up to like 5. Oh, that's what I forgot. So the street person was coming to the house, and then I was like, who is this guy? Nobody knew who this guy was. His brother didn't even know. So,
fucking Rackham Willie.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? Well, I get a call at school, leaving school, that he threatened our mailman with a chain lock flail. So if you don't know what that is, you take a chain, put a lock on the end of it, and it basically becomes a weapon. And the mailman had called the police. So what happened was, we got to backtrack here. He had not been arrested yet. This was like 4 days before. This was like 2 days before he ends up getting arrested.
This was the event that got him arrested?
Yeah. So he threatened the mailman with the chain lock flail, and I had actually just gotten home, and I like peeked my head around the corner. He had walked to the other building with this chain lock flail and was like basically swinging it around. And I saw the weapon. The mailman, who I love, I went over and I talked to him. I was like, what the hell happened? He's like, oh, this guy literally has been following me on my route, like yelling stuff at me. He's like walked over multiple streets. Like, I've come here, he's yelled at me and stuff. But he was outside today with the flail. And I was like, well, that should put him away because he's threatening a government employee, basically. Right? You'd think.
Is that how that works for post office?
You'd think so. They're a government employee. And his brother, our tenant's brother shows up and he's like, oh yeah, he should be gone for like 72 hours. It's like, get the fuck out of my face. Like, you're absolutely useless. I told him, I was like, I told you, I called this guy previously. I was like, your brother is going to get hurt somebody or hurt himself. Like, you need to get him help. And then here we are staying at this incident, and he's all just like, oh yeah, this is all we could do. Sit by and like wait for something to happen. It's like, I hate you. Basically, it's like, I'm telling you, you need to get him out of here. He's scaring the people that I care about and I love. And you don't do anything. Like, you don't care at all. You don't care about your brother. You drop him off completely unsupervised. Like, he's clearly unwell.
Here's the thing, though, Stefan. I agree with you, but what about that, like, really surprises you? Like, what about somebody not giving a fuck and just, like, pawning a problem off?
It doesn't, but I have to tell them to their face that they're a piece of shit.
literally human nature.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell him to his face he's a piece of shit. So he gets arrested, but when he got arrested, he says, I'm having a heart attack. So they take him to the hospital, and he was there for maybe 12 hours, and then he got released, and his brother and his wife came and dropped him off at our building at like 12 o'clock at night.
So that circumvented the arrest process?
I wasn't sure what happened, but I got a phone call the next day. So what happened was my landlord calls me, and she's like, I called her brother because I was like, what the fuck did you do signing him out or whatever? And I could hear his wife or whatever yelling in the background that, like, you fucked up and all this other stuff. But what happened was they arrested him. He said he was having a heart attack, so you have to get medically examined and checked out. So what happened was they took him to the medical office, and
I mean,
it turns out that
I was going to say, if you're white, if you're black, they'll just throw you in the back of the car and let you die.
So what had happened was they took him to the medical office because they were trying to get him either arrested or signed over to mental health, because this is obviously a display of this guy once again just completely cracking. So 2 officers were there from 11 till 11 basically for 12 hours.
Where's
while he got
there? At the
Columbia's.
hospital?
Yeah. So they were there for about 12 hours, 2 officers basically waiting to haul him off. But what had happened was the medical examiner checked him out, was like, this guy has a month to live. Like, his heart is completely failing, like all this other stuff. So they couldn't sign him over to the mental health facility.
Maybe that's what's wrong with his legs, is a congestive heart failure.
It's all, this guy's health state is awful. Apparently his legs were like leaking out some kind of fluid. Like, it sounded disgusting. But basically what happened was a catch-22. His physical health is so bad that the mental facility won't take him in because they don't have the care there to physically keep him in, like, operating stature. So it's a complete catch-22. So you know what they do? They just release him. And it was just like, you have to be fucking kidding me. Like, that's insane. But apparently he only has like a month left to live. So Glendale police was just like, you got to be fucking kidding us. So I think what they did was they turned over his cases to the DA, because Milwaukee came the next night at 1 o'clock, like I was talking about, and arrested him. And then he was in lockup for like 3 days. And then he got out. It's been relatively quiet the last couple days, but they had court yesterday, and he called. My landlord's lawyer was like, I'm not showing up. I'm going to move out. Like, we don't need to show up or whatever else. But my landlord still went. And I was like, he's still going to show up. And he did. And then he made up this whole story where he was like, oh, I'm disabled. They don't do anything to accommodate me. If I get evicted, who's going to take care of my kids? He doesn't have any kids. Like, it was just all this random bullshit. And then he was like, they have a dog upstairs. I'm not allowed to have a dog. She's out to get me. I don't know how she's watching me. She must have cameras in the building. Like, all this crazy shit at court. Apparently he smelled like human waste too, because that's a common thing. And coming out of his apartment is they believe he was using the bathroom in a garbage can and possibly soiling himself too. So he like goes to court. It doesn't pan out for him. He's getting evicted. He has till Sunday night by 12 o'clock to be moved out. Otherwise the cops come on Monday. But it has been every day, every other day at minimum had involved the police coming, and like it had gotten to the point where neighbors were like, what the fuck's going on? And me physically calling his brother, I tried to appeal to his like logic and emotion, which didn't have any effect. It's just been completely insane. I can't wait for it to be over. I hate that we lost a good tenant at the building. Things will probably never go 100% back to normal, but some sense of normalcy. But yeah, like everything downstairs ended up getting a lock on it because you just go downstairs and like jiggle stuff, and the guy is sick, and there's just a complete failing of the mental health system.
So both mentally and physically,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
How old do you think this guy is?
He's 54.
Huh. Jesus.
Which it's just crazy to think. I had been in his apartment too a couple times, and it was disgusting. He just ash on the floor. Clearly not in good health. It looked like he would take a slow cooker, like slow cook a roast, and then just shear it off into a solo cup, and then had like, I don't know, like mashed potatoes or something in the other one. He was literally just drinking his food out of a solo cup, basically. But yeah, he basically would just sit downstairs and smoke and eat out of his solo cups. He was dumping food in the backyard too. If he didn't like it, he'd just like dump his soup out. He intercepted one of our packages, which in hindsight we should have just called the police right away, because that's mail tampering. He took an Amazon package.
Does Amazon delivery have the same ramifications as
I don't know.
postal?
I don't know. Because we got the new Kia Niro, we got cams for that one and the Grand Am, like driving cams. Let me tell you, man, that Kia Niro is so freaking amazing. I got 52 miles per gallon.
How the fuck you gonna segue out of this guy's insane? The health system.
Because I've told the insane thing enough. I want to talk about the Kia Niro. The new car is awesome, man. 52 miles per gallon. It's almost quadruple what the Grand Am's getting. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I drove my dad's Prius around for a while, and it literally like has a little. Still can't believe this fucking segue, dude.
Hey, I said I had bought a new car while we were talking about the crazy stuff. That was like the highlight of our week.
It has this like display that like gamifies your miles per gallon almost, so it
I have that
encourages
too.
you to like drive to get better miles per gallon.
It tells me there's like so many menus. One of them tells you how like if you're an aggressive driver, whatever else, or normal or economy. But
there's some routes from, if I take some back roads, I took it to Whole Foods one day from his house, and there's some back roads that you can take, and if you just coast, got it up to like high 60s, low 70s.
Basically, if you're coasting and just driving really relaxed, it gets good gas mileage. At least that's what it says. But yeah,
Or just, does it have that thing where the motor just straight up kicks off and you're in electric mode?
Yeah.
Just trying to like keep it in that mode.
As long as possible, yeah. But yeah, I love the car. It's smooth to drive. I love it. It fits our usage and needs very well with the size, because it's not like an SUV. It's like a compact kind of. It's a little smaller, but it still has extra trunk space and stuff like that. Sit up a little bit higher.
You're going to go back to your house, and it's just going to be a smoldering pile of ash because the fucking crazy guy decided to have a barbecue.
He did say he was going to burn the place down.
He did say that?
Petrol. Yeah, he said that to the lady that lived upstairs. He was like, you better get your stuff out of here. I'm going to burn this motherfucker down.
I mean...
But he is his...
Doesn't that kind of scare you? That he has his like final ultimatum, he knows he has to be out.
I'm not really too afraid of him, but I'm not that concerned about that, because he doesn't dislike anyone in the building. His problem is strictly with our landlord. Oh, there was the other thing where when he was arrested, that street person came back, and I was basically told to call the police if I saw him show up. And so I called the police, and it seemed like he went into his apartment and then left through the back. And when the police showed up, his brother showed up. And his brother had said multiple times he had no idea who this person was. And I was like, okay, well, he's in the apartment right now. And the police is like, okay. And then his brother goes, oh, you mean Jimmy? And it's just like, what the fuck, dude? You said multiple times you don't know who this person was, and now you're claiming that you know who this guy is? Like, it was so frustrating.
Maybe that's the guy who is unplugging all his things.
Maybe. It's just been crazy. So...
More about this Kia.
I got the new Kia. I love it. Outside of that, I've obviously been focusing on school stuff. I worked on the chair project a little bit more. I'll probably bring you in on that, because I am going to 3D print it.
Cool.
That is going to be the design route I'm going. And my peer review design for my...
You mean 3D print?
They have a large
model of
Herman Miller has a large scale 3D printer that they use to print chair designs sometimes, and I want to use I want my final product to be 3D printed as well as my model, because I want the final product to be printed using recycled filament.
Oh, cool.
So my model will also be 3D printed, and I imagine it'll need to be printed in 3 subsections. But my design went up for peer review on Wednesday, and I won my section. I went with a Gothic chair design, so it's like a large. The basic premise is
The cat is presenting its asshole.
And it
thinks
smells too.
You are its mother.
Yeah, and it actually really smelled. I think it
Really?
just came up in front of me and farted in my face. Thank you. So the chair design is Gothic, so it has basically the back of the chair is like a large clear story window that you'd see in a Gothic cathedral, like a large stained glass window, and then
below it you just have like Abbot's face on it.
So then the sides are the flying buttresses where you'd rest your arms, and it gives the chair support, and then it sits on top of the aisleways, which are just like 4 pointed arches. So it's basically just a Gothic chair with 2 spires on the back. But when we 3D print it, I figure the main part of the chair will be the back and then the actual seating thing, and then we'll just print 2 separate flying buttresses for the arms, because you can't 3D print the flying buttresses in one go.
Yeah,
because they're bridges.
Well, yeah, we'll examine like the structure of it, because there's certain rules you have to apply to it.
Okay.
I've actually never broken up a model, but it can't be that hard.
I imagine it'll be 3 pieces, although now that I think about it, the stained glass window part may be a lot more. But I've seen people print Gothic cathedrals already, and it seems like it should be relatively straightforward.
Are you actually going to do stained glass as part of your final design?
There will be no glass inside this
Okay.
chair. It is going to be made with 3D recycled filament, hopefully, in the final product.
I think if you wanted to, you could potentially print in maybe some translucent stuff. It's still plastic.
We'll consider it. I should have the design finalized by this week, and then we can start breaking it down. But I will probably need help basically making the 3D aspect of it.
Okay.
Just because, although I'm sure I can fumble my way through it, I'd like to go through it with you, just because I think we could get through it quicker, and I could learn some things that way. Because like I did the SketchUp thing, which was fine. It just was very time consuming and a lot of trial and error. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm sure our process will still be very similar to that. But
that's always what it's going to be until you get familiar with like how your program works. And that's the best way to do it too, because you spend a lot of time doing something, and then you find a way that reduces what you did down into mere minutes instead of hours.
Yeah, which I'm really hoping to do, because the weeks are getting. As school progresses, things just get more busy. It's not the same all the way through for the most part. So it's going to get busy again. But that is where I'm at with the chair project, which is somewhat exciting. I'm glad that my chair won our section, just because everyone was doing minimalist designs where it's just like, it's the cube and it's like so minimal, and it is modern. The very basic.
You have 2 things going. Like you have chair design and you have architecture meta on top of your chair design.
I wanted something more ornamented too. And like the only person that I talked to in architecture class was like, this is just advice that is always good. It was just like, you should just do, because my original chair design was Herman and Eames lounge chair. It's like, it was a play on that.
Dude, I just got a sweet idea for a cup holder. So it's a goblet, and you know how the goblet has the stem? You have like a little like ornamental hook that comes around that you can rest. It has like a space in it that you can put the stem through, and then it just rests the goblet in it.
But my original chair was this Eames lounge chair that it was a play off of that's been done a bunch of times, and it was just like, I don't like it. I was trying to make it for the audience, and it didn't win either, because I didn't really care much about it, so I didn't put much into it. But the only person I talked to architecture class gave me the advice that I should just do what interests me, and everything else will fall into place, which is always good advice. I mean, there's it's been rephrased like 100 ways, you know.
Yeah, if like you have something about it that you just want to make happen, you will inherently be more interested in it than just trying to satisfy somebody else's or your not even somebody else's idea of what they want you to do, your perception of what somebody else wants you to do.
So I went for the design that I'm going to be going with, and it seems to be panning out, although we'll see how it works when we get down to the design process. And we'll have to I want to get some measurements of chairs, basically.
How about gargoyles? Put
I want to put
on it?
I have spires and like some ornamentation, but I do want to add more ornamentation. I don't know how difficult that will be. You want to see the design? Actually, I actually have a picture of it.
Yeah.
You're on my phone. This was the one that I put up in class. Yeah.
It kind of looks like something Jarl would sit in.
Yeah, it's got like a Cardinal Reichlau, Viking Jarl type look going on, but it's very rough. So
yeah, that looks like it was something you would whittle out of wood.
Yeah, but I want to do the 3D printing route. I think we could get like a stonish look from 3D printing.
There's different types of filaments. If you really want to go, is there a reason you want to go with the recycled route?
Just because it's economical. You're eco-friendly.
Is that something that is a positive?
A lot of people look towards that, to be honest. Like, a lot of people are like, I'm environmentally friendly, let's use recycled materials. Even talking when the Herman Miller guy came in and did a presentation, he was like, well, you need to think about like what happens with the chair after the process or whatever else. So I thought plastic and reusing it. I mean, we already have an abundance of plastic. If you can recycle it and keep reusing it,
well,
maybe.
That's the thing, is recycled filament reusable? It's reused, but is it reusable after that? You know what I mean?
Didn't think about that. I just assumed.
Like when you frame it like that, you have to think about what happens to the chair afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, your components are recyclable, but you know, is it? You can, if you made it out of wood, it's decomposable. You know, is that eco-friendly, or is that frowned upon? Because
I don't know. People don't like chopping down trees. There's a very just like recycle this and whatever else and try to remain eco-conscious in what people consider eco-conscious in their own framework, which usually is don't cut down trees, or if you are going to use wood, use recycled press board or recycled plastic. Try to use things of that nature. I mean, obviously there are chairs that are going to be wood or have metal inside them or whatever else, but
so what I think you might
also, my concern is they want the chair made out of the material. They kind of want the model to be made out of the same material, and I don't want to fucking hand carve a clear story window out of fucking what?
There is wood PV
filament.
Wood filament.
Yeah, I believe you printed those Majora's Mask
Yeah.
that Brittany's painted and never gave to you.
Did she paint both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me one now.
Yeah,
want one.
I should coat one and give it to you.
I saw one of them and it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, she agreed.
And she was like, "Oh, take it." I was like, "Did you paint another one?" And I was like, "She was like, no, not yet." I was like, "Well, I don't want to take the one that you painted."
Yeah, I can get one of those over here. But yeah,
What we'll probably have to do is find a free CAD program to work between.
SketchUp can be used to make STL printable files. I don't know if
Most CAD programs can.
I don't know if I need to have a purchase version to do that though.
Yeah, but is it the most appropriate for what you want to do? Because
I don't think it is. I know
stuff like ornamentation and the stuff that's a little bit more artistic, you're probably going to want to use an artistic based program versus something that's
Like
like a
SketchUp,
mechanical design.
SketchUp is definitely designed towards architectural uses,
Yeah.
but most of it's
But no,
most
like
people
even,
use modern architecture, which has a lack of ornamentation. It's just the bare bones.
says lazy.
Yeah,
They're lazy.
bare bones, as straightforward as you can get. It's an aesthetic that I personally don't appreciate. I think
I like it to a degree. Like my living space, I kind of like.
I don't have an issue with ornamentation. I'm not saying I hate modern architecture. I just don't appreciate it as much as late Baroque or Gothic. I like the ornamentation and symbolism that is found inside buildings.
You know, don't you just want to live in an Art Deco flat?
No. I do not want to walk around my house dressed like Andy Warhol or Danny DeVito's impression. What the fuck was Danny DeVito's art guy in It's Always Sunny?
I don't know. I've only watched
Gregor
2 seasons.
Gorborvin or whatever.
Luigi's Mansion 3 is very Art Deco. The hotel is like bellhops and fucking the number font is very Art Deco.
The person I talked to in my architecture class is doing an Art Deco chair that I actually like quite a bit. Mostly because outside of us, we are the only people that are not doing seemingly modern pieces. Everyone is doing like modern
Just
shit.
imagine somebody doing their presentation on it, and they'll just be like, "Behold, cube."
Yeah,
It's just a fucking cube.
it's they're not. I might have over exaggerated a little bit. They're not necessarily all cubes, but they're all very stripped down. There have been a couple interesting designs, but a vast majority of them are just like either the chair's already been done before.
You know what? This is not fair. You are cheating because you have a fully formed frontal lobe, and most of your peers in that class do not.
Yeah, in a way, definitely feel that way. It's good to be getting, still really good grades though. Although I skipped class on Wednesday, so
Nice.
I was just so tired of, because I think that was the day he came home, after he'd been arrested.
What real consequence is there to skipping class in that context?
If I have 3 tardies in a class, I get dropped a letter grade in any class. So if I had an A, I now have a B. I only have 1 absence, so I'm not getting dropped a letter grade. But
Yet.
and there's only a couple weeks left. And then I missed a pop quiz in architectural thinking, which is, it's worth like a percentage point or something, and it's just a way that they track attendance. Otherwise, if we hadn't had the pop quiz, they wouldn't even have known in that class. So, bummer, and I missed the lecture, but my friend gave me her notes, so I'll look those over because I have the exam on Monday. But I was just so tired because I
Had a crazy guy
Yeah.
up at 5 a.m. screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe after this, we could take a look at some CAD platforms to like work off of, show you a thing or two. So what you're probably going to want to do is use something like Blender to make the ornate stuff, like, and do your models in there. Like if you're going to sculpt a face or a figure or something like that to put on there, or
My designs right now have like floral patterns, and then the spires are replicatable. They're more geometric. I don't have any gargoyles right now. I definitely thought about including some sort of faces, possibly on like the armrests. I mean, it's an evil villain chair. Like no one.
to be honest, that one looked more pagan than evil villain.
Okay, but
It really looked more pagan.
But I like tried to keep it toned down, but I didn't have to present my design because we ran out of class time on Tuesday, but the previous class when they went up. They were all like, "Oh, who's the chair for?" I'd be like, none of you." A villain that doesn't
Abbott.
exist. Yeah, someone who doesn't
Abbott.
exist. Did you hear what happened to him?
Yeah, apparently that's why I've been saying his name. Apparently he got so drunk that they couldn't play. I don't know.
A guitarist quit. They couldn't play, and he jumped into the crowd after.
And started crying and then canceled the entire tour.
Christ, yeah. I guess Immortal was right to get rid of him then. Like, what was that, last year or a year and a half ago? I remember we talked about it on the show. It's like it's like having divorced parents. I get 2 Christmases. Yeah, Immortal fired him because he had a drinking problem, and I hadn't seen him before, so I didn't really take it with too much grain of salt. But apparently, he definitely did. I mean, getting so drunk that you can't perform when that's your job is frowned upon in many circles.
Yeah. I mean, this ain't the fucking 60s anymore. Come on.
I mean, when your idol is Lemmy.
Was his idol Lemmy?
Yeah, Abbott loves Lemmy.
I thought you were talking about fucking Marv.
When your idol's Lemmy, I mean, Lemmy still was able to perform, right? Or did Lemmy have nights where he got so
I'm
drunk?
sure he did.
Yeah, I'm sure he did too.
I'd be disappointed if he didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure he did too. Yeah, Abbott started playing bass and then he switched over to guitar after.
Usually that doesn't go well.
It works fine.
Guitar to bass works fine, but bass to guitar,
He does.
not so much.
He did. He played. Well, I mean, he does all 3: guitar, drum, and bass.
What about vocals?
He does.
You
he
said
sings.
all 3.
I'm sorry.
So he does
sings
all
too.
4.
He sings too. Yeah. He's multi-instrumentalist. But yeah, it's gonna be a bummer if he backs out of the other tour too, because I was trying to plan a trip to go see Mayhem in Chicago with Abbott.
Oh, is that the show? Yeah, you posted that. Any takers? When is that?
April 10th. So it's pretty far away, and I was trying to get the feelers out. Right now I have myself and Brittany a ticket, and then a guy I used to work with
Where is it?
It's in Chicago at the Metro.
Okay.
The tickets are like $30 on their website.
You talking about like doing a trip there and a trip back in a day, or
Probably. I don't know if I really want to stay down there, and I don't know what the people I've sent feelers out to think yet. So I have 3 people for sure. Brittany, actually I have 2 people for sure, myself and Mike Lucas. Britt might back out. Mike Lucas was in that band when we went to Shorewood.
fucking Steel
Leather
Battalion?
pants. Yeah, Steel Leather Pants guy from he was in a black metal band that was in this side of town too a really long time ago in the 90s called Nightwing or something. But I used to work with him. He's a good guy. Sam said he'd go. Sam Alberts.
He bought a house today.
He did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He closed at noon. I was going to go help him start moving after this, but he has some Thanksgiving thing he had to go to that he forgot about.
Okay. Yeah, Sam Alberts said he'd go because I saw him the last time Mayhem was in town at Turner Hall. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that you're into Mayhem. And he was like, yeah, I thought I'd come check it out. And that was actually a great show because they played their first album in full, which is...
Have you not seen him in full corpse paint?
No. No. But yeah, it was like... So I hit him up and he was like, yeah, I'd love to go. So I have Sam Alberts and then Jake Pine said he'd go. But that kind of fills my car up.
I like that so many of my close friends just kind of became friends.
Yeah, I don't actually...
And keep in touch with each other outside of myself.
Yeah, I don't see much of Sam, but...
He's a down-ass motherfucker.
Yeah. So my car's kind of full, which is my main concern, is because I'm sure Jake wants to bring his girlfriend, and Steve-O expressed interest, but I don't know. I just
take
don't
the train.
Yeah, I just don't have room. Yeah, we could take the train, couldn't we?
Yeah.
We could drive, take the train, and then come back and then get my car. Okay.
And take a Uber. I mean, if there's that many people in that, I'd be so down to go just to hang out with everybody.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the new album that came out, and I want to see Mayhem again, and I've never seen Abbott. And he usually plays
It's
a lot
so
of...
funny when people... Okay.
He usually plays a lot of Immortal songs and stuff. I mean, it'll be a good time, and it'll be theatrics.
This,
so.
you can't really see the corpse paint. It's like really well done corpse paint, but look at this.
I like it.
There's one where it has like his business, like his LinkedIn photo next to his fucking black metal photo.
Where did he get the house? Like what area?
Bayview, like
Bayview?
blocks
Okay.
away from where he lives
Okay.
now.
Nice.
Dox him.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll
Dude, that
propose
paint that Brittany did was fucking super cool.
The Lords of Salem thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll propose that as an idea to take the train. Cause yeah, I like sent out the large web and I was like, not many of these people are going to be interested in going.
I just happened to catch it, to be honest. I don't really like look there much.
But I kind of cast the wide net, assuming that people would drop off, and a lot more people were interested than I thought. But yeah, I think the tickets are like $30, and basically you buy the ticket, and I was just gonna check off a spot in the car, but
Train.
Jake and Sam don't necessarily have tickets yet, so
I don't either.
Yeah, so train though, that's not even an option I had considered. Maybe I'll form it up on
the train.
Maybe I'll form it up on Facebook then, because it's an easier format for people to discuss on. And I haven't deleted mine yet, even though I'm sure it has one like, and I said I'd delete it, but I haven't been on Facebook for like 3 weeks. So,
let's wrap it up. Let's take a look at some cat stuff.
okay,
All right.
yeah, we can do that, and then I gotta get going. I got a bunch of school shit I gotta do still, and Psycho was probably doing something at the house.
All right. Peace out, y'all.